Uh, I need to move my phone so it's not distracting me. Okay. Oh man. Welcome to the next episode
I was
of.
gonna say, is that the intro?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Movies, not music. It's episode. Crap. 4.
4. We
Four.
talked about this beforehand. We had it wrong last episode. We called it episode 3 when it was really episode. Wait.
It was really episode 5. If we're getting technical with it.
Wait, then how's it 4 now?
Okay, because officially we've done this segment. This is the 4th time we've done this segment officially, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like as its own segment.
Casino
but
Royale.
we did Holiday and Casino Royale.
Then
in actual episodes of Ways on the Shore.
Yeah. Oh, true. And then we did oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the names of the movies? We did the Fighter movie.
The Fighter Warrior. Warrior was the first episode, and then Quantum of Solace, and then we did. Yeah.
And then we did.
We did Moneyball. We missed a week though, but that's fine.
That's all right. But now we're back. We're doing James Bond again. It's more 007 because we're kind of just alternating and going through all of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies. And today is one. Let me pull it back a little closer. And today is one that Jaron has been hyping up. He's very excited to talk about it, as he was telling me before we started recording it.
Oh, very much so.
It is the James Bond Skyfall, which would be the 3rd Daniel Craig movie, because I'm assuming we've been watching these in order.
Yeah, we have. We would not be watching them out of order.
I don't know. Some people shuffle albums the first time through, so I didn't know.
Oh gosh! Actually, have I told you that Will does that? My friend from LCU.
Gross. And you're gonna hang out with him tonight. You're still gonna associate with him? What the heck?
Evan. Will and Zach are 2 different people.
Oh wait, shoot! Did you say Zach?
I just said Will, but me and Zach are hanging out later tonight.
Oh, my bad. I got them mixed up.
For this, so the audience knows, I think I mentioned before, but Zach is my friend who we just make music together for funsies. And actually, while we're on that topic, I'm going to give myself a chance to brag. We're going to see John Party, Haley Witters, and Lainey Wilson in 2 days on Saturday, the 20th of August. So if you want to feel bad about yourself, just know that I'll be having fun and that you won't be. So,
Speaking of having fun and then not having fun, me and the boys packed. Sorry, we can go to the actual episode after this, but I have to vent a little bit, right? Me and the boys, we went to Wonderland the other day, which is like the one thing to do in Ontario. It's just outside.
What is Wonderland?
An amusement park, Cedar Point. It's just Cedar Point, Canadian. Literally like the same companies, same rides, everything.
Oh wow, okay.
So we were like, yeah, let's go to Wonderland because we have the season's pass. Because last year we were gonna go to Wonderland and we looked at the prices and we're like, wait a minute. I don't know if this is some COVID thing, but we're like, a season's pass is cheaper than just going twice, and it lasts till the end of the following year. So we're like, if we literally go once each year, we've saved money. So we got the season's pass, and we went up the other day, and it's a several-hour drive. We crammed 5 people into a Toyota Corolla, and we went through this drive, almost got in several accidents.
7 hours?
No, several. Not 7.
I was like, 7 hours just for that?
No.
I don't like amusement parks that much.
But anyways, we got there, and holy crap, it sucked. We thought we were cool going on a Tuesday. We thought surely it's not going to be that busy on a Tuesday, especially since we checked the weather, and it was looking like clear skies all day. No, it was the busiest I've ever seen it. The lines were like 3 hours. Okay, it rained, it sucked, and then at 3 p.m., we've been there for like 4 hours, if you're including the time we walked across the street to go to Little Caesars, because there's no way I'm paying $45 for a large pizza, so we left the park.
Holy crap, like actually?
I know. That's like...
No, 45, like that's...
45, that's like 30...
I know they jack prices up, but that's like
That's
a
insane.
lot.
It's gone up so much since last year. So we walked across the road, and I got a $7 pizza all to myself. Then we went back. It sucked. I went on 2 rides total, and then we went home. We took the L. It was tragic, so that was not fun. But Jaron's going to be having fun this Saturday, watching a fantastic concert with a fantastic lineup. However,
heck yeah.
We've been recording now for about 6 minutes, and we are yet to actually start the episode. So it would be wise now for us to get our act together and talk about the movie we're here to talk about. It is James Bond 007 Skyfall. So, Jaren, I think you're going to introduce this by giving a quick summary. Then we'll get into
we'll do
our
a summary.
thoughts, and then we've got some trivia, some fun facts planned. It'll be a good time.
All right, according to IMDb, according to IMDb, the summary, here's a quick summary. James Bond's loyalty to M is tested when her past comes back to haunt her. When MI6 comes under attack, 007 must track down and destroy the threat, no matter how personal the cost. So, just for M is just so that people know. I'm gonna assume that none of you guys have listened to this, or sorry, watched this movie. My brain always shuts down when we go to record. No, I'm like this all the time. That's a lie.
It's always dumb.
But M is like she's. I don't know what's her official title. It's like
his boss, James.
Yeah, she's the boss.
Supervisor.
She's literally the boss of MI6.
Yeah,
she's not. Yeah,
she's the head.
She's not. Yeah, she is his supervisor, but that's not like she just is in charge of
everything. While James Bond's out there doing his thing, he's always reporting back to M, and she's giving the orders, and she's on the call. She sits in the big office with the computer and whatnot. She's just like a supervisor of the operations.
Yeah, and so for reasons that we'll get into later, James and M kind of have like a loose mother-son relationship, and that's partly due to the fact that James is an orphan.
No parents.
Yeah, and this movie actually focuses a decent amount on James Bond past, which is part of the reason why I think it's the best James Bond movie. But I'll get into that later. Let's have Evan give his thoughts.
So, after watching this, I did have to think, because I was like, do I like this more than Casino Royale? I was trying to think, because I was like, it was pretty darn good. I still like how stone cold Casino Royale is. Like, I still walk away from that movie thinking I have a lot more money than I do, thinking I look a lot better than I do, thinking I'm a lot smarter than I am.
Have you watched Casino Royale since we watched it?
No, but like
Okay, I'm just curious. I was curious.
Yeah. But Skyfall is pretty darn good, I think, because I think what I liked so much about it is, and maybe this is coming from Quantum of Solace, which is kind of spontaneous, just fight scene, but we talked about why, because of like different budgeting issues and whatnot.
A lot of different reasons.
Yeah. But so maybe it was contrast coming back to this, but I really liked how much more focus there was in this movie on the characters. Like when you're talking about M's past and how it's her old agent is like the big enemy of the movie, and we get to know more about James Bond, and we get to see all these different people. And I do think the fight scenes were really well done. I think my one thing with action movies sometimes is it feels like they're just, and especially with Quantum of Solace, it feels like they're just having fight scenes to have fight scenes. But I felt like everything in this movie felt really like intentional and complemented the whole plot. I really liked this one. What
are your thoughts on the opening sequence? So like every James Bond movie kind of has an opening sequence. Like this one, the next one, and we'll get into it later. The fifth movie has a very different opening sequence than the rest of the movies before it. But we'll get to that for obvious reasons. It's the fifth movie. But this one
has a very different opening scene, which is where I have one of my only questions.
Well, they all are different, but the fifth one, we'll get to that later. But that one is, for very obvious reasons, especially when you're watching it, is extremely different.
Yeah.
But like, what are your thoughts on this one? Because in Casino Royale, we have the big parkour chase scene, embassy drama goes down, James Bond gets in trouble. And then in Quantum of Solace, we have another chase scene that is definitely solid, but definitely not as good as the opening scene in Quantum of Casino Royale. Also, Casino Royale, I guess actually, I included the chase as part of the opening scene. The actual opening scene would be when he's getting his qualifications for being the 007, getting the two kills, the black and white shot, him fighting that dude in the bathroom, which is also still a cool scene. So either way. But what do you think of this one?
So the opening scene of this one is where I really have my only question regarding the movie.
Oh.
So
okay.
I when the movie started, right? So you get going, they're fighting, they're looking for like this computer chip, and some ugly dude has it, and he's like running away on motorbikes, and they're like driving through a third world looking thing, crashing into orange carts. You're pretty like what you'd
They're
expect.
in Central America, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. What you'd expect from a James Bond opening scene. But then they get fighting on a train, and he's like wrestling this guy on top of a train, and James Bond's teammate, accomplice, what would you say?
She's another MI6 agent.
Another MI6 agent has a gun, and they're trying to shoot this guy down, but they're wrestling, and they're about to go into a tunnel, I believe, or around a corner. So she's on the radio with the MI6 headquarters saying, like, I don't have a clean shot, I might hit Bond. And they're like, you have to take the shot. So she shoots, snipes our boy James, right? Then he falls off a freaking bridge, like massive heights, lands in the water, fully unconscious. Why? Because he's been shot. And so I thought, I was thrown off. I was like, okay, so what's James Bond then if James Bond is dead? I'm excited to see this movie. Then he comes back, and I'm just like, okay, so how did that exactly go down? Like, that's my only question. Like,
there is a little, I'm not going to lie, there's definitely some suspension of belief. The thing is...
Yeah, there's some suspension of disbelief here.
The thing is... I don't know. I think it's not so far-fetched because, yeah, he fell off a bridge into the water.
But this is like several stories. This is not like off your friendly little walking bridge. This is like
that's true.
10
it's
stories.
Decently high. It's at least probably 150, 200 feet at least.
Literally unconscious and starts sinking.
And So I think we're inclined to assume that. So right after this scene, actually, is that big, iconic, it is. Well, the fifth movie has a really good music intro because they all have the music intros.
The ADELE.
This one probably is the best,
right?
Yeah,
yeah. I was like, that's ADELE.
Adele did this one. This one was really big. Like, got played on radio. Everybody knew this song. Skyfall is like the really only, like, they tried to replicate Skyfall's success, but Skyfall's the only James Bond song that actually kind of got, like, popular, that it was, like, people were, like, listening to it, like, on the radio, like, in their cars and stuff like that. That being said, I listened to, like, all of the James Bond intros, except for the one from Quantum of Solace, because it's kind of buns, but, what was I saying? Oh, we're inclined to believe that when he falls off the bridge and that intro sequence kind of starts, I feel like that is like a dream that he's kind of like hallucinating, if that makes sense. Kind of unconscious. I feel like that's kind of what is being implied there, but they don't ever, like, nothing's ever said, and I don't really have a reason to believe that. I think I just kind of chose to believe that. And I think I like to believe that he just kind of wakes up while he's under the water, gets up. Yeah, he's been shot, but it is possible to, at least I think so, it would be possible. I think it is possible for somebody to survive that fall, and he doesn't do it without repercussions, especially physically, and they show that in the movie.
That is
he doesn't just, like, walk it off and just take it like a champ and, like, keep chasing. No, he's like, he obviously... So he survives somehow, and since
they think
nobody
he's dead.
comes for him, he knows that they think he's dead, and so he just takes it as an opportunity to retire, and which is now the second time that James Bond has retired in this series, and it will happen again. It's interesting. It's kind of a funny thing that they're like, "Oh, James is retired again," and it's like, whatever.
I'm coming out of retirement again.
And the shot that he takes isn't lethal, but it does. The fall and the shot really do mess him up, and I like that they show that.
As it should. Gosh darn.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
There's definitely did he survive this?
Injuries I've taken. Okay. The injuries I've that if this man can get shot with a gun, fall off of a 200-foot bridge into water unconscious, I hope he's gosh darn messed up. Okay, I hit a punching bag without a glove on, and my left hand was out of commission for 2 months. Okay? I
That's
fell
still
off
pretty
a
funny to
hockey
me.
bench as a child reaching for a water bottle, and my neck is still messed up. So this man
Bruh.
better have some repercussions for getting shot off a 200-foot bridge, or I would have been salty. I want that
Well,
man's
I
body.
would argue. Well, yeah, I was gonna say Daniel Craig's body might just be. Some
Different.
people are just like really prone to injury, actually, more than other people. Like I've never
think I
broken
am
anything. I have gotten a concussion, but other than that, like I haven't really had
How did you
anything
get a
happen to me.
concussion?
Oh, let's get into this. In third grade, we're not 100% sure. Especially now that it's been so long. Like third grade was
What, like 10 years
like
ago?
literally
11
12 years ago, 11, oh, maybe 11 years ago
Like
for
11
me.
years ago.
And it's like I don't even freaking know. But we're pretty sure that like there's like I was on the playground during recess. You Canadians have recess, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay.
What do you think we did?
I don't know, bro. And there's like, so on this playground, there's like the two like things, I don't know, like it's like the playground set thing, and there's like a shaky bridge connecting in the middle, like the bridge kind of like,
I can picture it.
yeah. And we're pretty sure that I was running on it, like playing like tag or whatever, and I tripped and I like went headfirst into a metal pole and like just like limp body like fell down some stairs. And I didn't remember it because I got a concussion. Like I did not remember this happening. I just remember waking up and being like, "Damn, my head hurts," like really badly. And yeah, I was in the hospital for like 3 days, and
That's a good one. Well,
yeah, it was a
bad
bad
one, but a good
concussion.
one.
I had like a huge goose egg like right here. Where I think it was the left side of my head. And yeah, I don't know. That's my concussion story. That's not like some big like. I'm pretty sure I just tripped and went headfirst into a pole, and then fell down, and then just limp body just crumpled and went
last
down
thing
some
before
steps.
we get back on track, though, just on the topic of running our heads into metal poles. We're playing
Quite a niche topic.
Canadians. I mean, I don't know if Americans do this, but like, or maybe it's just my school. I have no clue. But at the end of coming into spring before summer, our elementary school, the classes, the big thing is we would do tennis baseball. We would do normal baseball, but 12-year-olds aren't that coordinated. So instead we use a tennis racket so that you can actually hit the ball. And it's like a tournament, you're on your team, whatever. And anyways, I was an outfielder, and this one kid absolutely cranked it, and I'm like, oh, this is mine. This is absolutely mine. So I go sprinting after it, right? I'm going to get this ball. I've got my head up. I'm running. And I ran right into the soccer net. Slight L. Just full tilt into a metal pole while staring at the sky looking for a tennis ball.
Bruh. I've actually... We're definitely getting off track here, but I'm pretty sure I like cracked a rib like legitimately one time at summer camp back when I was I was going into my freshman year, I think.
You know, we should do a special episode of the podcast where we just talk about all of our injuries. We just sit down for 20 minutes and we just try and one up each other. We start it really slow, and then we just.
You probably have better injuries than I do.
I definitely
but this one's kind of funny.
Better injuries.
We're playing capture the flag at like. It's probably around like 10 p.m. at this point, and I'm like running full speed, like, oh yeah, like I'm sneaking, I'm flanking, bro. I'm going for that flag, right? And I'm just going full speed, and there's like a wooden like 3 foot stake in the ground near the edge of this parking lot that I can't see because it's so dark out. And so I run full speed into it, and I hit it so fast. I'm like running like this,
over it,
and it like just 180'd me, like just like down into the ground, and I hit it so hard that like my like chest was in like excruciating pain, and I'm pretty sure I cracked a rib. And so for like the next like 2 days I like couldn't like do anything.
We're legitimately having
but we never got it checked out at the hospital though, and I'm doing all right. So
we are legitimately having an episode where we talk about injuries, because that would be funny. Anyways, but back to James Bond. So where were we? Oh yeah, getting shot.
We were talking about his injuries.
That's the opening scene. Is James Bond? he's fighting a guy on a train, and then he gets shot and falls off a bridge. Everyone thinks he's dead, and then he kind of comes back.
I will say, we kind of glossed over the opening scene real quick. I really like how, like, just how it opens. Like, the literally the opening scene itself. If I remember correctly, it just kind of, it starts with, like, the abrupt, like, the horns from the James Bond theme. Like, the, ba-na, like, thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And he's, like, kind of, like, standing there, and he, like, busts in, and he finds an MI6 agent, and is like, it's like, it starts, like, just in the middle of the action. Like, we're already going. I think Quantum of Solace kind of does a similar thing with, like, him driving, but this one is just, way better. Like, we're just, like, in it. And I love that it's like a motorcycle chase going on roofs, and it's actually really dope. And this, one of my favorite things, I think, is just so absurd, but it's like also like, it's like almost so absurd that it's like we're getting almost to like the campy, silly, like classic James Bond stuff. But it's like the dude he's chasing pulls out a pistol with like these 2 massive drum mags. Do you know what a drum mag is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I know the gun you're talking about.
It's a dual drum mag, and this dude it's this tiny pistol with these 2 like enormous drum mags on both sides of it. And every time that scene happens, I just laugh a little bit because it's like that's like the most like
James
over the
Bond.
top, yeah, just like a dude with a giant magazine, but it works. I think it's hilarious. And then there's like a whole chase and then they get on a train. The motorcycle chase turns into a train chase, and James Bond it's an iconic shot, I would argue, is when he uses at one point on one of the train cars, there's an excavator backhoe thing, and he uses it. The one dude is running from it and manages to detach a car. Well, he uses the backhoe as the cars are slowly going away from each other. He uses it to latch on, and then he climbs the backhoe arm and barely makes it on before it tears off the back of the car. And as it's tearing off, he lands in the seat, and he does like this thing where he lands, and then he like fixes his suit, and then like pulls his sleeve, and then keeps walking. And it's the most like suave, just like damn, if I was a woman. Like, Daniel Craig is a stud. That's what I'm trying to get at right here. But anyway, I love that shot. I think it's really cool.
I think... So, I was just thinking of, like, the fight scenes and whatnot. Do you have a favorite fight scene? Because I do. Like, in this movie.
From this movie?
Man. There was a specific moment that stood out that I was like, holy crap, do I ever like that?
Okay, there's a lot of things that happen in this movie that I really, really like. Like, there's a lot of really good set pieces. From the casino,
something about casinos, man. I do. Yeah. I think the casino part's low-key, like, my favorite bit of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's the casino part, and then there's the part where he's in Shanghai, I think.
The office building.
He's in the skyscraper with trying to.
That is my favorite.
He's tailing the assassin.
That is my favorite part, or not like well. That's my favorite fight scene. Awesome. Because what?
Visually, it looks.
That's
great.
what I mean. Because like he's in this big glass building, and this guy like he carves out a hole in a window, and he snipes some artist-looking guy, and everyone's freaking out, and then James rushes in, and he gets in this fight with this guy, and just like. Like you said, visually with the lighting, it's these 2 silhouettes.
There's a lot of reflections and windows and mirrors, and then there's lots of purples and pinks and like blues.
But there's
because of like the billboards and the lights coming in from the outside.
Yes, but there's one part where they're fighting, and it's just these like 2 silhouettes against like a blue glass background. Yeah, and it just looks so cold.
Yeah,
and then he lets the guy fall off the roof, and it's just like, get out of here.
Yeah, yeah. It's oh man, that's really good. I actually really like this scene where he realizes what Silva's doing, and he's like freaking like sprinting down the road trying to get to the court hearing.
Yeah, we're kind of jumping
when he
now, but...
Yeah, I know. Well, we're talking about fight scenes. We're not talking about the story. Yeah. And when they're actually in the courtroom, he like shoots I just think it's cool. He shoots the
fire extinguishers.
The fire extinguishers for cover, and him and Mallory are working together because him and Mallory are kind of at odds a little bit, but there's a little bit by the end of the movie they have some respect for each other, and I just think that's really cool. And like Silva's really frustrated because Bond managed to just barely save M just in time, and And then, yeah, oh, that's just a really good scene. But I also, as far as like action fight scenes go, it's not like a tactical like one-on-one fight scene, but I think the last big set piece at the house he grew up in,
or the house, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like some
That
Home
scene
Alone type beat there.
with it's a very, I like how they forced James Bond in this very, he doesn't have a ton of
No, he doesn't have a lot
weapons,
to work with.
and they're just, it's like a big last stand with the helicopter, and I think it's really cool. I just really do. But let's get into the well, do you have any more quick thoughts, and we can just kind of talk about the story.
Other highlights
Let's
I
do that.
have would be the casino scene.
Yeah, that's
I
a dope
just
scene.
think it's incredible. I kind of just like the high class look of it, and then also like when he meets this girl, I forget her name, but he just like, and I know it's.
Is it the Bond girl? And by Bond girl, I mean, we talked about this in the Quantum of Solace.
It's the Bond girl. It's the Bond
She's
girl.
kind of, yeah.
And so, I know it's like a movie, so obviously James Bond knows it, but I didn't think it's really cool the way he like shows just how like badass he is. Because as like he's talking himself up in this big game, he's like making himself sound all like crazy to this girl. And she's like, you know, if you want to meet my boss, that's fine, but like they're gonna kill you. He's like, oh, they can't do anything, blah 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 blah. Then his last thing to like prove just how levels above he is, as she's leaving, he basically just spells out her entire life story, and it's just because he sees like because he sees like a tattoo on her wrist, and he's like, so you're in one of the trafficking houses, and so then you don't like this guy because this, and I can help you do this, and then she's. It's so good. Some dude gets his leg bit by a lizard, and that's kind of what you get.
It's a Komodo dragon, actually. Fun fact, I did a project in 2nd grade on Komodo dragons. Their saliva is poisonous if it gets inside of you when they bite you.
Would you believe me if I said I did a project on Komodo dragons as well? I don't remember anything, but I just remember doing that.
You did. Obviously, one of us cared more about our Komodo dragon project than the other one.
Definitely you. I did not care.
I thought they were really cool when I was younger. I was like, bro, Komodo dragons are so freaking cool. But I'm also a dinosaur kid. I freaking love dinosaurs. Anyway, if I'm not careful, I'll get off on a dinosaur tangent. But yeah, let's try to just kind of as concisely as possible, because this story is a little, I don't want to call it, it's not like too complicated to the point where it's hard to understand, but if you like, there's just a lot of moving parts, and like you discover things, and like at first, like who's doing these attacks? Well, we find out it's Silva.
So we should probably explain. So the attacks, right?
Oh.
So
yeah, that's right. I didn't.
Yeah, we should probably explain. So MI6 has been hacked, and
here, wait. Shortly, so this is months after James Bond is quote unquote dead.
Yes.
MI6 gets attacked. M is actually writing his obituary, I think.
Yes. And she also leaked. So the problem is M accidentally lost this hard drive that contained...
The hard drive that they're trying to get at the beginning of the movie.
Hard drive they're trying to get at the beginning of the movie. Because this hard drive contains the identities of their secret agents spread across the world. Meaning, like, if all of their identities are revealed, they're going to get killed. And they start getting killed as the movie goes on.
Yeah, I should clarify. It doesn't literally just have their identities in it, because like why would they have that? It has everything. It has like just a bunch of data, but it also happens to have their identity, their agents' identities, and where they are, that kind of thing. Like other personal information that could not be good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then they get hacked, and because of this, they're getting taunted, and then a bomb goes off at their headquarters, so they have to move down into...
And it kills
bunker.
A significant amount of people.
Yeah, it kills quite a few people. And then... So then James Bond comes back, and they're trying to find whoever's responsible for this. And...
So James is on an island, actually. He's doing a really cool scorpion trick. We got the scorpion trick scope, actually. But he sees on the news that MI6 gets attacked. He comes back. He breaks into M's house. And she's like, what the heck, bro? I knew you weren't alive. That's not exactly how that conversation goes, but... but yeah, he comes back. He has to go back into training, and they've moved into a World War II underground old, like, facility.
Bunker kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of They used it, I think, during probably around like when Winston Churchill
the 1800s. That's what they said.
Was the dude. Oh, really? Did they say that?
Yeah.
I think they used it in World War II, though.
Probably.
Well, whatever. And so they move down there. James gets debriefed on kind of all the stuff that we just talked about. And he has to... They're like, all right, sick. We'll like put you back in active duty, but first you gotta clear a mental and physical evaluation. And he passes the mental one, but physically I
thought he failed.
He's
both.
not.
I think he fails.
Oh,
both.
You might be right. You might be right.
Because in a scene that we'll get to in a minute, he's like,
yeah,
and you're recommended like psychiatric care or something like that. So
yeah, that's true. That all that childhood,
he fails
the trauma,
everything, but he fails everything.
He's got all that emotional trauma.
Yeah, but M lies because she wants Bond back in the field, so she just says he passes.
She trusts him. She trusts him more than anybody else. Even though it's kind of interesting, and I actually think it's pretty deep, because I think in real life that's kind of like there's some trust there, but even though like he's broken and he's got this damage, he's still the man for the job.
Mm-hmm.
Like she knows it. Like she knows that he has what it takes. Like even though he can't aim as well as he could, even though he's just not conditioned, like he hasn't recovered, like he needs more time. Well, the world doesn't have time, like they need James Bond even if he isn't 100%, And to be fair, James Bond at 50% is better than anybody else. So I don't care.
Well, I'd argue myself, but continue.
Yeah. So M passes him on through, clears him, even though he's not ready. He gets lied to. He didn't, and he actually finds out later that he didn't pass his test, and we'll get to that. So basically, we'll skip some things, but they're trying to track down. There's a breadcrumb trail of who's up to this, who's responsible.
Leads him to Shanghai and eventually this random remote island.
Yeah, so yeah, he goes to Shanghai, fights that one dude on the skyscraper. He finds like a little token thing, and that takes him to Shanghai because it's like a gambling thing. He's supposed to turn this in, and he's supposed to get a case with some stuff. Is it just money? Because it's a job that he's working. I think it's just money. But that's supposed to lead him. That is going to lead him to who like employed him. Because if you can find out who's doing this, then that'll take him there, and that's the guy that's responsible. They think is responsible for the terrorist attack on MI6, and that leads him to that leads us to the Bond girl that we were talking about earlier. I knew her name, but I'm forgetting it. I should know it.
I figured it as well.
And she's like, "You're not gonna want to meet him. You already talked about that." And they go to the island. Well, we finally meet our villain. And his name is Silva. And Silva gives... And it is a lot of exposition, but I actually do think it is done well and naturally in this really good way, especially because Silva's just really creepy.
Very.
Like, just kind of unsettling, and, like... Especially, he kind of starts getting a little gay with our boy James Bond.
Bit sus.
Yeah, it's like... and it's like, ooh,
if I was
okay,
James, I would have just said pause at one point.
Yeah, well... Well, it's actually kind of funny. I like, and it's kind of ambiguous because, like, is James joking when he does this? But, like, when Silva kind of, like, puts his hands on James' thighs, James is kind of, like, insinuates that he's, like, he kind of, like, ooh, like, is he into boys? Like, it's like, but they never touch on that again. But that whole scene where Silva kind of explains that he's the one behind the attack. Like, yeah, it confirms that he's the one behind the attack. He wants revenge, essentially, because he felt, yeah, he was part of MI6. He was James Bond. He was the James Bond of MI6 before James Bond was. Is essentially what he said. He claims, although I would argue that he was never as good as James, just from a hunch. He might intellectually, he might have been pretty up there, but physically, I doubt it. But yeah, M was also kind of like a mother to him, and he was also an orphan, and there was a botched job, and M had to make the tough call to just kind of
let him
a
die.
similar call to what happened. There's a lot of mirroring similarities. He had to get left behind, and he even like tried to use the cyanide capsule that they give him to kill himself so that he couldn't get captured. But it didn't kill him.
It just burned his insides.
It permanently deformed his body, and so his face is like half like it's messed up. He shows you later in the movie, and so this is a really good scene. From there, he's kind of messing with James, and they play a little sadistic game where James doesn't want to do it, but he knows he has access to James' records, and he's the one that reveals to James that he didn't actually pass those tests. And so because of that, they play a game where they have to shoot a shot of whiskey off of the Bond girl's head, and they go outside. The Bond girl has been obviously physically beaten and abused, and then tied up. She's not in a good shape, and Bond is like. It actually, that scene hurts me so much because, like, I know Bond, like, wants to save her, but his aim is so bad that, he just straight up misses her, and because Silva's just a horrible person, he doesn't even try to shoot the whiskey off her head, he just shoots her in the chest and kills her. But Bond, Q, by the way, new character introduced in this movie, we haven't talked about. Before Bond goes on this mission, he's given 2 gadgets. A small little radio transmitter that just transmits his location in a non-discreet way so that he doesn't have to like get on the phone and be like, hey, come to me. It's like an emergency thing like, hey, come to this location. It's important. Mm-hmm. So when he gets to the island, he activates that. So by the time this is happening, MI6 is already almost here. And that's what happens. MI6 shows up with the helicopter and a bunch of helicopters and stuff, and they take Silva captive. Well, that's actually what Silva wanted. He just wanted to get closer to M, but he wanted to make it seem like he was being beaten. Mm-hmm. It was part of a big plan that he had, and it's pretty cool. I'm probably explaining these in too much depth, so I'm going to try to speed it up. But I do think all this is very important. But from here, he gets captured, and they get his computer, and this is the one beef that I have with this movie, and it's not super big, but when they have his laptop, instead of like clearing it and making sure that it's not like Q is highly intelligent. He is like the tech guy.
Q is an MI6 guy who has been hired, and he's a big computer guy. So he's like, by the way, Q's the hacker.
Q stands for quartermaster. He's the guy that like gives Bond his gadgets. He's like the correspondent thing. He's like the guy that helps him in the field, and they call him Q for short. And Q just like freaking plugs in Silva's laptop into their network, like not thinking that like bruh, come on, like what, like you know to check that, that's my only thing with this movie, so I kind of have to overlook that sometimes. But basically, when he does that, it compromises their whole like security system and stuff. It allows Silva to escape, killing some guards, and while this is all happening, Emma's at the court hearing that I mentioned earlier. Because she leaked
the information and got some people killed, so they're trying to get her fired, essentially.
Yeah. They're trying to get her replaced. And so from there, it's a big chase where Silva has disguised himself as a police officer in the subway, and Bond is trying to track him and get to the court hearing before Silva does. And long story short, Silva gets there, and they manage to kill a bunch of people there, but Bond gets there in time to save most of the people. He kills mostly cops, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if he probably maybe kills some just innocent people there. Not that the cops aren't innocent. They're all innocent, but yeah, so that part, it's a good scene, really. Especially, it's pretty tense, because it's like, is Bond going to get here in time? And he barely gets there in time. And then from there, that leads us into the final third act. Right after that scene, M gets in her normal car with, crap, what's his name? I can't think right now. It's like, he's like her assistant. I can't remember his name. He like usually like chauffeurs her and stuff, and when she gets in the car, it's actually James Bond in the car in the front seat, and he basically kidnaps her. Not like he does it to protect her though, because if she stays with MI6, she's not gonna be safe. they have to go dark. James is like, we have to go dark. We have to go somewhere where Silva can't track us. And so while they're doing that,
well, he's like, we have to go to a place where Silva can't track us, but he's like, we're gonna set traps for him. So
yeah, I was getting to that.
Yeah.
So Q, he contacts Q and is like, hey Q, we know Silva's gonna catch up to us eventually, so I just need you to lead a believable crumb trail for him to follow until he realizes what's actually going on. And so Bond's plan is to go somewhere off the grid, and before they do that, they stop by at his old storage garage that he has, and they get in a classic Aston Martin from the original, like an old Aston Martin that's been tricked out from and it's a throwback to old Bond movies with it's got Gatling guns behind the headlights, and it's really freaking dope. And they even mentioned that it has an ejector seat. It never gets used, but they mentioned that it has it. Yeah, but it has one. And it's a freaking nice car, man. I love Aston Martins. And from there, they go to his childhood home. I can't talk. In Scotland. And this is my favorite part of the movie. I freaking love it, man. It starts with his butler still, his old butler that kind of raised him for a little while after his parents died. I know his name. Do you remember the character's name?
I didn't know he had a name.
Oh, the character has a name, for sure.
Well, obviously he has a name. I didn't.
Kincaid.
Oh, wait, no, sorry, now that you say that. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Kincaid, because they say it a decent amount.
A few times,
Kincaid.
yeah.
Kincaid is a freaking homie. A G. He's I don't know, he'd be a dope grandpa. He's chill and he's wise, but at the same time, if beef's going down, he's got your back, you know? And basically, he gets there, Kincaid is there, and they're like, this is gonna be a final stand, Kincaid, where we gotta protect M. This is it. And so basically that's what ensues. They prep the house. All they have is I think M's got a pistol. They've got 2 pistols and 2 shotguns basically. Yeah. And so they basically rig the house Home Alone style. And it's a really good scene. I won't get too into it just because we don't really need to talk about it, but it's a great action scene, lots of tension and stuff like that. And essentially it concludes with, during that scene, M got shot and is kind of bleeding out. But the Kincaid and James don't know that. And James plans on... He has them use the underground cellar tunnel to get to the church that's near the back of the property and to escape. And he plans on blowing up the house in an attempt to trick them into thinking that they died, also in an attempt to blow up the helicopter and kill Silva. It doesn't work, but it does blow up the helicopter. Silva survives. Because at this point, Silva's on the ground.
And then Kincaid just stops using his head at this point in time. As they're...
Oh...
Yeah,
he does have the He does have the flashlight on it.
It's literally are home free, and Kincaid decides to whip out a flashlight, and that's how...
In their defense, I would like to put in perspective, they're both very old, and one of them is hurt. And if they can't see where they're going...
But the game's the game.
I don't know. But also, to be fair, they probably can see where they're going, because...
There's a giant...
there's a
burning building.
The house is on fire, and it's the middle of the night, so yeah. But basically what ensues is Silva and James are both trying to get to M. And Silva gets there before James. Cool scene on a frozen lake with James and another dude where James, in order to get out of the situation, Silva's got a gun pointed at him, and one of Silva's henchmen is also pointing a gun at James. And so what James does is he grabs the henchman's gun and just shoots it in a circle around the ice, and they fall into the frozen lake. And Silva's bruh, James, what the hell?
And so then, hold on. So then they're drowning. This is my one thing. I was like, oh shoot, I know that. They're trying to choke each other out underwater, right? To one of them can survive. James throws up a nasty inverted triangle. I don't know the last time I've seen that in a UFC fight. I was just like, oh shoot.
Of course.
He's throwing an inverted triangle from the top. I was like, fair enough. He deserves the win. He got the nod from the judges. Submission victory. Herb Dean had to stop the fight. Sorry.
No, that's actually really funny. That's actually kind of cool that you like. See, I wouldn't recognize that kind of stuff.
I was just like, oh, there it is. He's got the legs locked.
Yeah. Oh wow, the execution. Wow.
I was just sitting there like Joe Rogan, like, oh, that's locked in.
Yeah, that one meme. So yeah, Silva continues on while James is struggling with this other dude. Silva confronts. Silva's crazy, by the way. Like, I don't know if we've really into that. This dude is literally insane. Like, he's just like broken, and he manages to kind of. He sees that M's hurt. They're in a church at the back of the property, and he's crazy, and he wants to kill M, but he also wants to kill himself. So he's gonna just like do like a double suicide kind of thing. And while he's trying to do this, and M and Kincaid are like scared out of their mind, James shows up at the last second and just throws a giant like Bowie knife into Silva's back.
This kind of brings everything full circle because the whole movie has kind of been about like old ways being better, and they mention that a lot.
That's true.
The movie. And then when they get to the house, and
they're talking about the rat, right?
Kincaid,
the rats eating each other. Isn't that like the metaphor that Silva uses? It's like the rats.
And like, yes,
the last
but
rat.
all throughout they're kind of talking about how the old things are better. Postcards, like Bond's like, oh, didn't you get my postcards and stuff like that. And then
yeah.
When they get to the house, Kincaid's showing the weapons they have, and he's like, and if all else fails, sometimes the old ways are the best ways. And he puts a knife down, and that's the knife that Bond ends up getting Silva with.
That's true. That's actually a good point, because I haven't really thought about it like that. Like, I've thought about it, but like I guess I didn't realize the knife that he kills him with is the knife that he's given, and they're talking about. Yeah, there's a lot of that, and I really like that. And then M dies in Bond's arms, and I think this is the first time we see James Bond cry in these movies. Mm-hmm. And Kincaid and Bond are both just kind of like, damn. And it's just a really, really good ending of the movie. And at the very end, I think it's really funny. James was put in M's will, and the thing he was to receive was her old like British bulldog paperweight that sat on her desk that he used to hate. And so it's this kind of funny like joke, but it's also like a sentimental thing. Like, yeah, even though he doesn't literally hate it. He just he thinks it's a tacky thing, and she sends it to him as like a joke in his will, because they were always joking like that. But this movie's freaking, I don't know, I freaking love it, man.
It's a really good movie.
Oh my gosh, I want to get it on I want to get like a steelbook of it. Do you know what a steelbook is? I don't know if you actually. Okay, I can show you one. Do I have one at arm's reach? Okay, here. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I might have to cut this.
I guess this is where I trash talk Jaren, but he edits it now, so like he's just gonna cut this out. But like Jaren bad lol ratio. Yeah, Jaren probably just cut this out. It's probably the wisest thing to do. Yeah, he's back.
Okay, so Evan has probably been talking crap about me. I don't know what he's saying right now. But this is a steelbook. I'm sure a bunch of listeners know. So this is La La Land, one of my favorite movies, which I will probably have a swatch. I might have mentioned that before. Really good jazz music, but this is really cool, I think. So it has a sleeve, and the cover completely changes when you take the sleeve off. And it's just really cool. Looks like it's inverted, which is kind of whack, but here we are. But I don't know. It's like a very nerdy thing. Like you definitely, this is not your like wheelhouse. I'm a big nerd. I love like physical movies, but it comes with 4K and DVD and a Blu-ray. And
okay.
And it's a 4K copy, but it's also just it's a metal case graphic design. I have a bunch of these. I have one for Hacksaw Ridge. I have one for Whiplash, which is also a Damien Chazelle movie that has jazz in it, just like La La Land.
I've heard about Whiplash.
Yeah.
My friends have told me to watch it.
Yeah, I think you would really like. We might watch both of them. I like Whiplash. I don't like it as much as other people do. But anyway, let's
let's close this off with some fun facts.
Yeah, let's get into some trivia and some other stuff. No, I have a couple questions I wanted to ask you real quick, actually. Now that I remember. I guess, so in the context of literally all of the movies we've watched so far, whether it's a James Bond movie or not, like, how does this shape up to the rest of those? Like, is this the best one, or do you think, because I know it's probably
it's either
between
Casino Royale or Skyfall. And
okay.
It might top Casino Royale, but I feel like I'd honestly have to, like...
That's what, it's always been hard for me, and I think I've said that before.
But it's one of those two for sure. It was really...
Because what I've always said to myself is, maybe Casino Royale is the better movie. Maybe it just is. Like, if I'm trying to be objective about it. But there's like, just amazing shots, and, like, I think some of these set pieces in action, and I don't know. There's so much to love in Skyfall.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think Casino Royale is never slow, but they are both kind of different, because I do think this one just has more action.
Mm-hmm. But I kind of like the slower pace of Casino Royale. I kind of like the tension that builds because of it.
Yeah, there's lots of tension in both of these movies, but it looks a lot different. In Casino Royale, it's a lot more subtle, I think.
Yeah.
And it's maybe more intellectual sometimes, just from like a mind game standpoint.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to know what your thoughts on. So, like, in the past, in older movies, James Bond is a very one-dimensional. He has no growth. He's just kind of actually, like, a horrible person and is just a womanizer, that kind of thing. But in these movies, James Bond character is actually kind of, like, changing. So, like, I guess my question is, like, what are your thoughts on James' character, like, up to this point? Like, because we've now watched 3 movies. So,
I mean, it's...
Where do you think this is going? How do you... Like, from where we've seen him go and, like, where he's at now, like, what do you think? I'm not trying to...
I mean, you do see the growth, because you do see more, like, oh, now we know he was an orphan and whatnot, and stuff starts to make more sense, he's just going to connect to people. That's kind of cool and all. Where I think it's going, I don't know. Like, does he settle down at the end of this series? Or, like, I don't know. Like, so, like, where do you think this is going? Like... I don't know. I thought Homie died at the start of this movie.
Well, okay. I should say it's not like some like. It's a big deal to me that his character, because he feels, as we watch these movies, he feels human.
Yeah.
And he starts to kind of. You see him wrestle with things, especially in Skyfall, but especially in the next 2 movies, and you'll see. I don't know. I just kind of wanted to see what you thought of that. Because, I don't know. I think it's this interesting take on this character who's been essentially been raised up the majority of his life without a true father figure, a true just normal family, and he's been trained to just kill people. So in a lot of ways, he doesn't know how to... It's hard for him to feel or be a human, and you see that as these movies continue. And maybe I look more into it than other people do. Some people just watch these movies just because of the action, which is fair. It's really good stuff, but I think these movies. I think these. Yeah, I'm not like all the other girls. But yeah, and then I think I had one more question. Well, no, we already kind of talked about that, so I don't have another question. But let's get into trivia, or actually right here, it says dope trivia. This is specifically dope trivia. This one I thought was really cool, actually, and I didn't know it. In the 50 years of James Bond movies, this was actually, we should mention, Skyfall was the 50th anniversary. It was also the 23rd Bond movie, I believe. No Time to Die, which is that poster that you can't really see. No Time to Die is the 25th James Bond movie, which was kind of this really cool thing. But yeah, in the 50 years of James Bond movies, this is only the second one in which Bond suffers a gunshot wound. He was also shot in Thunderball from 1965 during a chase.
Going to say, I liked, when the scene was going on, I was like, I like that he's been hit by a bullet for once.
Yeah.
Like, with all the machine guns that have sprayed at this man, I like that he finally got hit by a bullet.
Yeah, so
it's a lot more believable.
In later movies, in this series, he definitely gets hurt again. But this is the first time. It's actually kind of strange to me, but they always had him be like this invincible, like suave debonair. Debonair, that's French. I don't know how to freaking. Anyway, I'm not gonna try to explain what word I was trying to say because it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna make myself look stupid. Anyway, but yeah, like they try to make him look invincible, but like in these movies, I think that's what I like so much about them is that he's not, and especially in later movies, he's definitely not invincible, and so I just thought that was an interesting fact. Like he just isn't. He's just never gets shot, like, ever. This one, I already knew this fact, but I think it's kind of hilarious, but also kind of just interesting and cool. So there are 85 versions of the suit that James Bond wears in that opening scene. There's 85 versions of that suit. They made 85 tailor-made suits. Wow. And that is for multiple reasons. So 30 were made for Daniel Craig, 30 were made for his double and his stunt double. And each version of the suit is made specifically for a particular scene. So like sometimes when he's riding the motorcycle, his arms are up like this. So his suit has to be able to stretch a certain way. But when he's not doing anything and he's just walking, his suit is super tight to make him look like it just looks better. It looks more attractive.
Holy crap.
And so like when he's shooting or running, he has to have different fittings. So like the first suit has a very lightweight fitting, and it's made of silk. And sometimes when he's jumping and fighting, he has to be able to move in certain ways. So that's why he has like 30 different types.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. And so that's why there were so many. And
minimalists are punching the air right now.
Craig's tie had to be weighted for the motorcycle section to keep the tie from flying around when he was on the motorcycle, which I thought was pretty funny too. Yeah, I thought that was cool. The role of Kincaid, so his butler, kind of like that loose father figure that he had, was actually originally supposed to be played. Well, was originally written with Sean Connery in mind. Do you know who Sean Connery is?
No.
He's like, he's one of the, there's been like 5 or 6 guys to play Bond, but Sean Connery was so there's Daniel Craig, and before Daniel Craig, it was, crap. I know his name. I'm upset because I'm forgetting his name.
You're good. Was this Sean Connery used to be a Bond?
So Sean Connery was Bond right before the other guy. And so he's like iconic. He's a lot of people's. So it was gonna be like, it'll be cool. We'll have Sean Connery play his character. But at the end of the day, the director thought that if we had Sean Connery play this character, it would be distracting, and it's because Sean Connery is James Bond, so it's kind of like he wanted the focus to be on Daniel Craig's Bond and not on Sean Connery, which I understand. Yeah. But I do think it would have been cool if he had showed up to some degree, just as like a cameo. But yeah. I thought that was interesting because I didn't know that. And then the passport, I thought this was really cool. So the passport used by Daniel Craig was actually not just like a prop. It was made to be an authentic passport. So it has like all this, like it says John, it says all his, it's a fake passport made by James Bond with like all official stuff, and it's like authentic, but they purposely like did something to it so that it couldn't be used in like an actual airport because that's like a security thing. But I thought that was kind of cool. They had it's not actually a fake passport, like it's a real one, but it's still fake, if that makes sense. But I just thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, that was my last section of trivia.
It was a good episode this time.
This is a good movie. This is probably the longest episode we've done.
Just touched an hour.
Yeah, it's like my favorite movie ever, and so yeah,
it was good though.
That's kind of why. I just realized.
Uh-oh.
And this is probably gonna stay in. I'm still recording, so this is fine.
Okay.
I was recording with my stream cam mic and not my new mic on Audacity, which is slightly upsetting to me.
Is the audio gonna be okay?
Well, yeah, it'll be fine. I was just hoping to use this audio.
All right, well, thank you everyone for tuning in. latest episode of Movies Not Music, where we talked about James Bond 007 Skyfall. In 2 weeks' time. Well, in 1 week we'll be back doing the normal podcast, but tune in 2 weeks to catch us talking about the next movie, which I don't think has been decided yet.
Actually,
or are we gonna drop an announcement?
Well, we can just say what it is. I think I took a poll, and I took a poll when we did what was the last movie we did? Moneyball. I took a poll when we did Moneyball, and people seem to want to do Jerry Maguire, and I'm also interested in doing Jerry Maguire. Have you heard of Jerry Maguire?
Is that a movie or an actor?
It's a person. It's a movie. It's a person in the movie.
Okay.
It's a Tom Cruise movie. I don't know. Do you know who Tom Cruise is?
Yes, but I can't recognize his face.
It's okay. So you've heard his name, but you don't.
Everyone's heard Tom Cruise.
Gosh, we might have to do the Mission Impossible movies too. James Bond, because that's Tom Cruise. But anyway, let's wrap this up. We'll do Jerry Maguire for the next Movies Not Music episode, because I believe that's what people voted for in the poll. The 3 people that voted on Spotify. But shout out to you guys for voting. And
yeah. You couldn't even think of how to end it weird.
This is us ending it weird because we don't know what to do.
Well, because normally we say something really stupid and
I couldn't think of anything stupid.
But we couldn't think of anything. Wow.
Yeah.
It's sad on our end.
Yeah, man, this is just really awkward.
All right, well, bye.
Imagine if we kept going.
Are we still going then? Is the podcast not ended yet? I don't think it's ended.